I debated on if I was even gonna use my notes or if this would be another no-noter. I'm gonna use them. I'm gonna use them. I did wear that jersey. Okay, I want to make it clear. That had been a lucky jersey. I forgot to wear it in the 5-0 loss. Okay, but during the hot streak, I've been wearing that jersey. I wore it to the game. Oh boy, it sure didn't help. So what is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan. Oh, and for those of you that get a little bit of that schadenfreude, welcome. Because what was that? What even was that? The Ottawa Charge lose 5-2. First off, yes, Maschmeyer's injured. This was not on Phillips. Don't even dare think. First off, yet again, this team cannot score. They are completely incapable when it matters the most. Oh, we got 2 goals. One of them was a garbage goal with like 30 seconds left, down 5-1. I'm sorry, but we scored 1 goal all game. Okay? And then we got a doesn't matter. If we scored that goal down 3-1 with 30 seconds left to make it 3-2, I would have said, you know what? Okay, that's a goal that at least matters. It added something. It gave us 30 seconds to be on the edge of our seat. Most people are already leaving. I stay in my seat. I don't believe in leaving games early unless you really have to. And also, I make videos on this. I'm not going to leave early. I thought to myself, I was like, well, if I'd left early after the empty netter to make it 4-1, I would have missed 2 more goals. Oh boy. This one hurts because it is something I've seen before, and it is a game that every other team in this league wins because we had a good first period, but we didn't capitalize. And we had a not so good second period, and we were gifted, hand-wrapped a tie at the very end. If that was the shoe on the other foot, if we were the team up 1-0 and with barely any time left in the second, our goaltender makes a beyond poor decision that leads to a goal against with 0.2 seconds left in the period. And instead of going into the third up 1, you go into the third tied. If we did that, we would have gotten bullied in the third. It would have gotten to us. It would have gotten in our heads. You don't believe me? I've seen it. I've seen it happen time and time again where adversity leads to failure. This game had adversity, okay? I'd argue that the first 2 goals Boston got came on some iffy calls. The first goal they got came off of a power play that, quite frankly, I do not think should have been awarded based off of what I saw both in person and on the replay. That's a hip check to me. To me, that looked like a hip check, not a trip, and they score on the power play. And then the second one, I don't know if the call was icing or offsides. If it was offsides, I don't think we shot it from our own end, and it wasn't an icing. It clearly wasn't icing. Frankel touched the puck. And then we got there, it's not icing when the goal, in any case, every team deals with some bad calls, and every team deals with adversity. You know what the difference is between good teams and not so good teams? How you respond. And we never respond with goal scoring. Oh, maybe we'll get a bunch of shots. Maybe we'll get some momentum. Maybe we'll get good chances. Good chances don't win hockey games. Goals do. And this team, no matter what we try, can't score. And this was a microcosm of all the other small little problems that we see pop up here and here and here and here. Penalties, maybe not so much, but this game was one of the worst games I've seen for passing to no one, to nothing. I can't tell you how many times this game and this season We've passed to a player who wasn't there because they were changing. This is the awareness that we lack that other teams like Montreal and Boston have. And there's a reason why they're at the top and we are yet again at the bottom. And this is what gets me. We're talking about a playoff push. A playoff push. We are lucky. I waited because I would be far meaner. I'd have a far more visceral reaction. I'd have a much stronger tone as to what needs to be done, the level of overhaul that needs to be done to fix this problem if Minnesota won. If Minnesota beat New York, which I'm going to be quite frank, I expected, and I'm pleasantly surprised. This is the happy version of your local Ottawa fan. This is me in a good mood right now as a result of what's going on in the PWHL, because New York just saved our expletives. Because if New York loses that game and we're down 8 points with 7 games to go, that's it. Pack it up. That's the season. We are, again, miraculously, somehow, still in the playoff race. We have our next... We don't play for another week. New York. And then New York. Those are our next 2 games. We are back of Minnesota by 6 points. And we have 2 games in hand. By some miracle... If we beat the worst team in the league in back-to-back games in regulation, we will somehow be in a playoff spot. And I cannot emphasize to you how much that is it. 6 points. Anything else. And I'm talking deep internal change. Okay? Because what I just witnessed, the small mistakes keep happening. The turnovers to no one. Down 2-1 in the third period. Down 2-1 in the third. You're down 1. You're a team that struggles scoring and is supposed to be a more, like, let's be real. We are supposed to win on our defense and our goaltending. It's clear at this point. Based on how little we score, we aren't going to be winning a lot of games. 4-3, 5-4, 6-5. That's not really our brand of hockey. We have, I think, 2 games where we've scored more than 4 goals. 2! And one of those games, it took us overtime to get the 5th goal. We don't score that often, so we should be a conservative team. We should be a team that tries to play it safe, that doesn't make poor decisions, like going for the puck and having absolutely no one behind you in case, I don't know, you flubbed the shot and just a free breakaway. There you go. Take that 3-1 lead, Boston. Mwah. Mwah. Bye. Just score. Don't worry, we're going to have nobody back check. Those little mistakes that you see where you're able to say, oh, well, they played pretty good. They did a fine game. Well, could have been worse. Oh, yeah, it could have been worse. Yeah, this game could have been another 5-0 loss. Could have been an 8-0 loss. We're talking about making a playoff push. Do you get that the bar is on the ground? Especially... Look. Who here likes sports? Put your hand up. I do. Look at my YouTube channel, okay? This isn't the only team I talk about. I love this team. I talk about the Ottawa Senators. I talk about, I don't know if you can see it, but the Ottawa Red Blacks. Talk about a few teams. And I can tell you that, I follow the NFL, and there's many other sports. Some leagues having a playoff push late in the season is a sign of actually being a pretty relatively good team, a well-run team. Look at the MLB. 12 out of 30 teams make it. That's a high bar of entry to make the postseason. So if you have a playoff push in the final few games of the season, you're a pretty well-run organization. You've certainly won more games than you've lost. That's without question. You cannot be at the final stretch, the final, what, we're almost at the final sixth of the season. So you can't be 5/6 of the season and still be in a playoff push without being a pretty well-run organization, without being a team that is able to win frequently. Then you have the NFL. Bar of entry is a little bit lower, okay, quite lower. 14 out of 32. Still not a majority. If you were to take a hat, put every NFL team in it, rattle it up, and reach in and take a team out, the statistical odds are that you're going to pick a team that missed the playoffs last season. You know, all else being equal. Then you have the NHL. Straight, clean, 50-50. Half the team's in, half the team's out. If you're still in a playoff push, at like what's happening in the NHL, there's a few teams right now as I make this video, you know, Detroit, Montreal, Vancouver. They aren't in a playoff spot, but they're pushing for one. They're decent teams, pretty good. They do typically they win more often than they lose. They're all above 500. They're good teams. They aren't quite great, but they're good. The PWHL, another team that I cover quite frequently, in the Ottawa Redblacks, the CFL. 2 out of 3 teams make the playoffs. It is harder statistically to miss the playoffs than to make them. If you were to just take a wheel with every single PWHL team and spin it, the odds that you land on a team that will make the playoffs are significantly greater. Significantly. To miss the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, I think that's what? Something like, I mean, it's 17-ish% around there. In either case, it's hard. It's hard. It's almost as hard to win the... I think it might be harder, actually. I think it might be statistically harder. I'm not sure on the math there. So somebody who knows math, tell me what the all else being equal, the statistical odds of winning the cup in a 1 in 6 chance versus the statistical odds of, you know, having a 1 in 3 chance happen to you twice in a row. But here's the thing. The PWHL isn't all else equal. It isn't pure random chance. It isn't magical, mystical odds of reaching into a hat or spinning a wheel or any other carnival game. There's a reason why some teams are consistently at the top, consistently win games, and others aren't. And like I said, we're happy that we can still catch up to Minnesota. What about Montreal? Huh? They're 14 points ahead of us in as many games played. So we don't even have the games in hand argument. They're 5 wins better than us. 4 in regulation, 1 in overtime. They have a 14-point lead. They're about to clinch the playoffs. You know why? Because the team in 5th, us, is about to be completely mathematically incapable of catching up. Okay? See why I'm frustrated? Because, let's be honest. Okay. 7 games left. 2 against New York. 1 against Minnesota. Let's say we win those games, right? That's 9 points. So we'd actually, in as many games played, be ahead of Minnesota by 4 points. Our other games are 2 against Boston, who just beat us 5-2. 1 against Montreal and 1 against Toronto to end the season. Oh boy, a game against Toronto. A final regular season game against Toronto. Oh, it could happen again. It really could. It really could. But let's just say we do just enough. We barely beat Minnesota, and we slide in as that 4th team. And Montreal says we want Ottawa. Right now, I think we'd beat them in a game. I don't think we'd win the series. Oh, yeah. I don't think that the Chargers get swept. I don't think they would drop 3 in a row. They could. But I think they'd probably get a win in there. They'd maybe drop 2, win 1, and then go home in 4, if they're lucky, 5. And even if they do come out of that series, I do not see the Charge winning the Cup this season. Unless something crazy happens, like unless we go on a real crazy heater or some other team gets plagued with injuries or something weird happens, as it stands right now, I don't see it. Because I don't see us beating Boston, Toronto, or Montreal, and I don't see us beating 2 of those teams back to back. Sure, maybe we could get an upset. But doing it again? It's hard to see, right? Now you get it. The playoffs is a different beast. Everyone said that about Minnesota last season. But at the same time, ask Minnesota fans how they were feeling day 1 of the playoffs. Ask them how they were feeling after game 1. Yes, they ended up winning the Cup, but do you remember what that was like before something changed? Before a switch was flipped. It was miserable. And it was a funeral for the Frost. It wasn't pretty. Now, yeah, they found a way. They found a way when it mattered, and that's what competitive teams do. But here's the problem. I've seen it before. How was this not Game 5? Seriously, you're behind Minnesota by 5 points. You have 2 games in hand. You win this game, you're back by 1 game with the game in hand. Even if they beat New York, you're still right where you started. How was this not Game 5? How was this not the game where we go in and we say, we gotta do it now or never? Last season, that literally happened. We had a game where it was clean, cut, win and in, lose, you're done. Those were your options. Win in regulation, you make the playoffs. Any other result, you go home. Did they dig deep? Did they find a way? Or did the typical Ottawa Charge thing happen? And the worst part is I know what this team is capable of. Because this is the problem for me. It's becoming very strong reality. We don't make the playoffs. What do you do? Because you can't miss the playoffs in back-to-back years and not change something. You can't. Especially not in this league. Like, in the MLB, sure. If you barely miss the playoffs 2 seasons in a row in the MLB, if you're the 13th best team, okay. That's fine. You can right the ship with what you've got. If you finish 5th out of 6th twice in a row, you can't. You can't keep the same coach and the same management and the same coaching staff and the same roster. You can't. No self-respecting team would do that. I still believe in the roster. I think that's the one part of this team that I really believe in the most. Which is weird, because that seems to be the one part of the team that we just love tinkering with a whole bunch. Again, there are these mental lapses that I keep noting. Passing to nobody, passing to somebody on a change, no-look passes. That's something that I think coaching should be ironing out. Those are the kinds of decisions that, should be frowned upon by the coaching staff. And there should be some sort of response when it consistently happens. A player makes a mental lapse like that, and even if it doesn't lead to a goal, if it leads to momentum or a turnover to the other team, maybe their shifts are a little short. I'm not saying be mean, but I'm saying be responsible, be accountable. breakdown, right? Like I said, it was a good first period, I thought. Boston didn't get a chance until deeper into it. Phillips robbed them on a 2-on-1. Again, this could have been worse. We had a good first period. The second period wasn't as good. Like I said, it was a hip check. Shouldn't have been a trip. I mean, first off, we should be used to it by now. Like, where the auto charge, this happens. You need to be prepared for some penalties that, maybe wouldn't have gotten called on other teams to get called on us. You got to be ready for that. Whatever. Okay, it's called and they score. That's bad. Very bad. Overall, bad period. It was not a good period in the second period. And I don't need Steve Dangle to tell you this, but if you're a goaltender, tend the goal. Frankel comes out of her net as the second period is winding down. Clock winding down. It's almost over. The period's almost over. Vanisheva, Frankel, one-on-one. Frankel just misplays it, and Vanisheva has a freebie to the net. Easy goal. Like I said, it was gift-wrapped. It was handed to us. And after review, it's confirmed that the goal was on time. It is a good goal. Ottawa scores, ties it at 1. And this is... I'm going to be honest, I thought we were going to win at that point. Because I was like, I mean, come on. That's as back-breaking as a goal as it gets. If Frankel just stays in her net, there's a good chance she makes a save. Or that the shot isn't off in time. Or that she gets just enough of it that if it trickles in, well, doesn't matter. Time expired. She comes completely out of her net, thinking she has time. She doesn't. And again, we got outplayed in the second. We should have been down 1-0. And we're gift-wrapped a tie game. That's so backbreaking if you're Boston. And then we had our worst period in the third. I don't care whether it was offside or icing or none of it. Face off in our own end. We can't clear. Boston scores 2-1. I thought we played a pretty poor third period overall. Like, not just as a result of the goals, but I thought that we didn't play our game, that Boston outplayed us significantly. And like I said, we finally got some momentum in their end. Defense... I like Teralova. I think she's one of our better defenders. It was not a good play. Breakaway the other way. 3-1. That was it. There was 7:05 left. Do you get that? There was 7 minutes left in the game. And when they made it 3-1, I knew the game was done. Everyone. You could feel the energy get sucked out. Like, oh yeah, we lost. There's another Ottawa hockey team. Normally, that's how I feel. This season's been a little bit different. If the Sens are down by 2, with 7 left in the game, I'm glued to my seat. I'm like, yeah, it's not over. I have full faith that, you know what? Till the buzzer sounds, or maybe if we're down 3 with like 5 minutes left. No, we're still in it. We're still in it. Because they've shown consistency with winning. Have the Charge come back too this season? Have they? I actually don't think we've come back down 2 to win all season. No, we haven't. We've not. Oh my gosh, we've played 23 games and a 2-goal deficit. Might as well be a 10-goal deficit. Yeah. Yeah, I can't think. Every game. Same thing. A 2-goal deficit is a death blow to us. A 2-goal deficit with 7 left in the third? You kidding me? We struggled to score 2 goals throughout an entire game, let alone 7 minutes in the third. We don't pull our goalie. Well, there was 3:30 left. We had the puck in their end. I get that when we pulled the goalie, but we got scored on. But I would have pulled the goalie then. With 3:30 left down 2, with us, with our offense, you have to pull. We pull with about 2 minutes left. Immediately get scored on. They score another empty netter. I don't even know why we pulled at that point. Like it was 4-1. The game was over. But we do it again. Get scored on again. Lexi Aggia goal. So glad we got rid of her. And again, I don't want to get too mad about the trades. I think our trades have been relatively okay. But And then Snodgrass, garbage goal. Doesn't... Like, this is it. If we don't get 6 points against New York, that's it. Right? Like, our season's done if we do not get the 6 against New York. In fact, if New York beats us both games, they'd actually pull ahead of us. Yeah. Yeah! I don't have any more words. I want to see something different. We have 7 games to do something. If we win against New York, I'm not even going to be, like our first game, I'm not even going to be fully celebratory. I'm happy. We're still in it. It depends on the next game, though. I have a lot more thoughts. And this video is way too long. So I'm going to end it. I might make another video. I'm probably going to make a Sens video that's just going to talk about playoffs in general in Ottawa on the teams that I follow. Because we have one that broke a drought, one that looks like they're coming out of it, and one that looks like they are at the start of one and are about to extend it. So, as always, go Ottawa, go.